Where are we here? I have no doubt we're live right now, but we will find out in a second. We are live. Get that out of the way. Okay, good. Stop coming up. Oh. No, this is not made for kids. Oh, that keeps coming up. Gabriel, what's going on? You beat me here. Good morning, everybody. As usual, I'm right on the crack of time. The dog managed to poop 20 minutes earlier today, so I had time to clean it up and not rush. So, good morning, Sharon. So, good morning, guys. I'll say good morning if you're here. Let us know. Guys, this is James Patrick, who I let you know was going to be joining us today. I'm going to let James kind of take the mic and explain exactly what he does, but I'll give you my Cole's Notes version first. James is a serial fitness entrepreneur. He is a internationally recognized photographer. What is it, James? 500 magazine covers?
Over 500, yeah.
So if any of you guys are more from the fitness and bodybuilding community and you're really wondering about how exposure works with magazines, this would be above and beyond anybody else I know, the guy to ask about. James works with a variety of different magazines. James also has FITposium is a conference James does every year. And that's something I wanted to discuss today because I think a lot of you guys would really enjoy these conferences. They take place in Phoenix, Arizona. You don't travel for those, do you, James?
Not yet, no.
Every year in Phoenix. And a great spot to connect with other fitness professionals. And it really is a great way for you guys to kind of marry what you're doing on YouTube with an actual fitness, like a physical brick and mortar business, whether that's one-on-one personal training, whether that's, nutrition coaching, all of that sort of stuff. James knows the ins and outs of that and how we can really marry all this together, in addition to the fact that he knows a lot about the digital space as well. So I hope you guys came with a lot of questions today and you can fire them off. How does everything look and sound, guys? Let me know, because this is new software. I had to get some new stuff so I could actually bring James on and have some guests every now and then. I'm trying to check here myself as we're chatting. My videos. There we go. All right, now I can see everybody. Good morning, Kay's Pilates. Guys, be sure to congratulate Kay's Pilates. She got monetized last week. We've been waiting. Oh, now I can hear myself. That's even better. All right, earphones are coming off because I'm hearing myself. Where else? Barbara, good morning. You made it. Is it Tan? I'm not sure if it's Tanwa or Tanwa. Good morning to you, but it's evening here already. Where are you from, Tanwa? Sharon's here. Living Love Fits here. All the usual suspects have made it. But yeah, no, Krista's been working a while to get up to 1,000 subscribers. She is one of the few who has actually made it to 4,000 watch hours before she got to 1,000 subscribers, which doesn't happen very often. All right, I got to change my mic here because I don't want to listen to myself. James, say something there. I just want to see if I can hear you.
Yeah. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I can hear you. I'm trying not to hear myself. I'm hearing the lag on here, so. All right. Bear with me here, guys. I got to do a quick audio change.
I just gotta say, Regan, like looking at your studio setup, I don't know how you're just not playing Pac-Man all day long on that vintage arcade behind you.
True enough, eh?
I can't bring in any of that stuff into my studio because I'd never get any work done.
All right. Bear with me here, guys. I am trying to... You know what? It's, for me, that's my version of a smoke break. If I'm having a rough day creatively, 12 minutes of Contra or Pac-Man or something, we're good.
Looks like you got a couple of people tuning in from South Africa. I work a lot with Fitness Magazine out there, so welcome. That's awesome.
Oh, what's going on here? All right, James, speak to me for a second.
Yeah, I'm still here, buddy. Oh, I can hear myself now.
Yeah, and that's what I'm trying to avoid here. Although, you know what? That might... Let me see. I think what I'll do, James, is I'm going to unplug us from the speakers, and I'll just listen to you with the lag on YouTube.
Sure.
That'd be the easiest way. Don't worry, folks. We're professionals here. All right, so everybody can hear me okay. Built-in speakers. All right. So James, boys, settle down. Hey. All right, guys, so everybody can hear me okay? Everybody can hear James okay?
Can hear you great.
Yeah? Mm-hmm. Perfect.
I am hearing a lag on my own audio through your computer.
Okay. This is a new one for me. Trying to figure out how to...
Are you running your audio settings through StreamYard?
Yeah. Yeah, like right now I've got it... I got built-in speaker, or I can go with the Yeti microphone. Let me try it this way again. So let me see. I think I'm going to hear you now. Will just be a bit of a lag.
Okay.
Say something there, James, and just see how long we've got for a lag.
Yeah, can you still hear me coming through okay?
Boys, hey. Bear with us, folks. This is the first time having a guest on here, so I'm just trying to figure the best way we can hear James.
Well, you sound amazing.
Lag on here. Zanel Daly from South Africa. I love this channel. It's great, Zanel. Thank you. Thank you for joining us. And you can hear me well. Perfect. Araceli, good morning to you.
Perfect.
So guys, while we're just chatting here, I'm just trying to figure out these mic issues because I'm... I'm really perplexed with this one. Maybe what I'll do if I turn that off. James, how's it now? You can hear me good?
Yeah, I can hear you great, buddy.
All right, so I'm going to just basically go through StreamYard. Everything seems to be good here. And yeah, we'll just basically go from there. I turned off the other one. All right, guys, I think I've cracked the code here. All right. All right, guys, fire away. Get some questions for us here. Let me catch up on the comments. Daily. This or that fitness, good morning. Anybody I missed? Jay Rogerson, we can hear you both well. Thank you very much. Everyone sounds great. We can hear you both. All right, I think we are good. James and I are probably on a bit of a lag here, but we figured it out. It's time for some of that coffee. So James, you and I will chat while we're waiting for these guys. So tell us a bit, what's been going on the last year? Like, I know FITposium was always your big event of the year. You did it virtual this year. How did that go for you?
I mean, for everyone, it doesn't matter what industry you're in, but, you know, absolutely for the health and fitness industry, which we're all in, 2020 was a massive shift for us. But, you know, my background being a photographer, all I'm used to seeing are shifts in industries. I saw it back when photographers were switching from film to digital, back when social media hit, back when the recession hit in 2008. And each time I saw photographers talking about how, well, you know what? Professionals aren't going to use digital photography. Well, that changed. Professionals are never going to be on social media to promote their work. That changed. You know, back in 2008, oh, you know what? There's all these new people entering into the industry. They're just giving away too much. They're changing the industry. No, in each of these instances, what was shifting was consumer demand was shifting. So if you hone in on what consumers want moving forward or what consumers need moving forward, you can always stay ahead of what you need to deliver to your clients. So I saw that Let's Go Workouts. So my background, I've been a photographer for close to 20 years, all in the health and fitness industry. And as Regan had mentioned, in that time, I've shot more than 500 magazine covers. After shooting for a while, what I was noticing was that a lot of the fitness entrepreneurs I was working with, even though I can create great digital assets for them, they still were struggling to figure out how to build a brand, market a brand, and profit from a brand. So that's why we built our FITposium conference, which Regan had mentioned. We built that back in 2015. And the pillars were real simple. How do you build, market, and profit from a brand in the fitness industry? And over 7 years, we've had 1,500 people come through our conference. And we've scaled it up from there, where we've had people launch six-figure, multi-six-figure, even seven-figure brands just by getting together and saying, what would happen if we shared best resources? What would happen if we learned from one another? What would happen if we exchanged ideas to support one another, not as competitors, but as a community? And as Regan had mentioned, you know, 2020, we had to make a big pivot with that as well. You know, our cornerstone was bringing together hundreds and hundreds of people in a giant conference room for 4 days in Arizona. Couldn't do that this year. So we had to shift. And what we ended up creating was we created a virtual conference, but we wanted a virtual conference that wasn't just like your standard, you have to sit on Zoom for 12 hours a day, because at this point it's October, everyone's tired of doing it. So what we did was we ended up creating basically a TV production, and we broke the wall right away, where we had this giant board of all of our attendees as they're tuning in. And the first thing we did during that weekend was we highlighted people who was their first time at the event, and I got to interview them live in front of everyone else. And people got the cadence that, oh, this is expected, that we're going to be doing this throughout the weekend. And we ended up doing we did so many breakout sessions throughout this weekend that people were messaging us saying, I've met more people at this virtual event than I've met at any in-person event. So we were actually really excited to see, okay, this is now really a blueprint for what we can do moving forward. Now, it's a massive bird's eye view of it, but gives you some overview.
I think the nice thing with the digital space is that people are more liable to say hello or introduce themselves. There's a little less of that fear of walking up to somebody in a room and saying, hey, my name's this, I'm from here. Whereas digitally, people are used to just jumping in and talking to strangers and that. So yeah, I could see that being a really great way to have these people connect a little bit better.
You know, it was so funny because the first time we did the breakout room, like, you know, basically the way the cadence worked was I would teach for a few hours and be like, all right, you're going to go into a breakout room and you have to work on, let's just say you have to work on your lead magnet with the people in your breakout room. You got to work on your unique positioning statement with the people in your breakout room. The first time we did it, I was like, oh, by the way, we're going to be doing this for the entire weekend. So get used to meeting a lot of people. You saw like 10% of the audience jump off right away because those are the people who they immediately got nervous, and rightfully so. Right. So with that, we just set that expectation of no, we're here to learn and to connect with each other. And that's why you'd have people come back and say, oh, I met 40 people. I got 40 names, email addresses, and phone numbers that I can now call after this conference to get support from.
Yeah, well, I've seen that here too, and it was a complete residual value that came out of doing these live streams, that a lot of the people that are in these streams have developed a community amongst themselves. So something like, Case Pilates finally hitting 1,000, that's a win for everybody, because it gives everybody hope, because they saw the build to
That's
that.
awesome.
So yeah, so it's something that kind of came out of this that I wasn't expecting. And a lot of these guys follow each other's channels as well, and they're able to give each other actual support, not in a sense of watching for 5 seconds and messing up with their average view time. They actually support one another's channels. They share ideas. So that's one thing that I didn't expect from this, that is definitely a residual bonus. And I think it's helped a lot of them. So
I think what we've learned in the years of doing this is that everyone is one step away from someone else. And that's, even when we had our conferences, we wanted our attendees to realize that it doesn't matter whether you're sitting in that front row and it seems like that speaker, even though they're 5 feet away from you, seems like they're a mile away. Maybe they've achieved a lot more in their business. Maybe they have multiple businesses. It doesn't matter. They're one step away from you, meaning all you have to do is figure out what that one step is. And it's their job to help teach you what that one step is. Then you turn to the person next to you and you show them that next step. And if we all just kind of honor that one step philosophy, we can all move together as a community.
I'm going to share us on your page, James, you don't mind?
Go ahead.
In case anybody wants to hear what we're talking about. It's the hard part when you're the producer and the host. You got to. All right. Oh, Sharon must have found some of your magazine covers. Let's see here.
Thank you, Sharon.
When did the photography career start, James? How long ago was that?
I was a journalist in college, so 19, 20 years old. So I'm 38 now, so long time. And
was it the plan? Was it the plan, or was it kind of?
No,
you're like me. You just kind of fell ass backwards into it.
Well, I was pushed into it because I was 19 or 20 working for a newspaper, and my editor said, "Hey, can you start taking photos to go with your articles, because all our photographers are out on assignment." And I was like, "Do I get paid extra for that?" He says, "Yeah, you get paid extra for that. It's 2 bylines." So, all right, I'll do that. But I ended up actually really enjoying photography, although I can't say I knew much about it. I went over, got a job at another newspaper, and the publisher of that newspaper, either he really liked my photography or he really didn't like my writing. I'm not sure, but he took me out of the reporter pool and put me into the photographer pool. And so I spent a few issues working as a photographer for this other newspaper, got promoted, became the photo editor of that newspaper. And that for me was that moment of, okay, this is the new thing. And I still write to this day, almost 20 years later. I still love writing, but when it comes to how to create a narrative or to create a story, I do it visually before I do it through written word. Right. Sharon had asked about the FITposium membership. So FITposium comes in, we do 2 different things. We have our annual conference, which we do every October. And this year we are planning to do, the world will tell us what we're going to be able to do, but the intention right now is we're going to do a hybrid conference where we can have, let's just say, online for anyone. We had people from 7 countries attend this past year. So we'll do an online conference, but we'll also open up, if possible, maybe 50 seats for people who are comfortable coming out to Arizona and spending a weekend with us. We also have an online membership. And the online membership is called FITposium Plus. And what we do there is every single month we have live coaching. So we just did a live coaching event last week where we were teaching how to use speaking platforms to grow your brand awareness, visibility, and your lead generation. So every month we bring on a new guest coach and we do live coaching. So you learn from the coaches, but you also get to ask your questions about your business. And then we just coach you through your business. So that happens every single month.
Wow. That's amazing. I want to get to one. I feel like there was, whether it was last year or the year before, I missed it by just a few days or something. Like I think I was actually in Arizona shooting, and it was just a small miss on that. But I'd like to get to one of them. It's been a while since I've been to any conferences at all. I'm getting the travel bug. And Arizona is a nice place to go. So usually
Arizona in October, man, you won't want to leave.
I've been there in May. That was a bit much for me.
May's not bad. You got to be here in July to really start complaining.
Yeah. So Zanel has a question here. Zanel, I think this is your first time on one of the live streams. Let me know if I'm wrong. How important are the aesthetics, like background and quality of videos? I use my phone to shoot workout videos. I would say it's the attention to detail is important, Zanel. You can set up in your living room just fine. I mean, again, if you've got like your underwear hanging to dry or something in the background, I would move that. But things like a bookshelf or family photos, those aren't really big deal. I like seeing a little, if you've got the depth in your room, I like seeing a little bit of something in the background. Like you can even see with this room here, there's an arcade game, there's Skeletor, there's guitars, cameras, books. Like I would rather have that than to have that completely whitewashed and white. So it does add a little bit of dimension to the room. And depending on, I guess with a phone, it'd be a little more difficult. Now with the lens that I use for live streams, I'm able to kind of bokeh that out a little bit. So it's not competitive with me, but, it is important. I just filmed a couple days ago, actually, part 2 of how to shoot a professional quality fitness video using your smartphone. So part 1 is up there now, and it talks about some of the gear that I use. And I think all in, it was under $200 worth of gear that I had recommended. And then I filmed it this week I actually did 2 camera shoot using a GoPro and the smartphone. And it'll give you a few little ideas on things you can do, but the quality is important. You know, you have to realize that while you shouldn't look at companies like Beachbody as your competitors, they are on this space now, and they've got those big elaborate setups. So, I mean, you don't have to worry about aesthetically matching that, but you have to make sure, you know, your presentation's good, the quality, the choreography of your workout is good, and that your area is at least, if not, you know, a big studio, that it's neat and tidy and inviting. So they feel kind of that, you know, sense of just comfort, I guess you could say. I mean, again, if I was in an unfinished basement doing this right now, the show would feel different. It would feel different to you watching. It wouldn't feel as good. At least there's a certain, I'd like to think, a bit of a warmth to this. You can even see with James's setup. It looks very professional. He's got the microphone set up there. He's lit well. I don't know if there's a light on him or not, but it's, you know, it's nice and clean, and it looks good. So, I mean, and are you working from studio, or are you at home today, James?
I'm in my studio today.
Okay. So, I mean, if that answers your question, Zanel, like that's, or is it Zenil? It might be Zenil.
I would even add to that. I think more than, like, the aesthetics help a lot. I think a lot of audiences can forgive aesthetics if you have really good lighting. Like if you look good, in the setup, as long as it's not messy or distracting. I think really distracting versus clean is a good base point to start. Like I don't have a ton of stuff behind me. I have 2 lights behind me, intentional, that are, you know, kind of all over my shoulders, and then I have a kicker light behind me just to light up the backdrop. I saw Araceli had posted a comment. You know, this is an interesting one where she says, "Should I wait until I get a good camera before I start?" And, you know, I'm curious your input on this, Regan, because my input is you got to start at some point, and you have to be willing to kind of push through the suck at some point. Like, you know, I've been podcasting for close to 10 years. My first podcast, they are atrociously bad. They are so bad. The mics didn't work. I remember we landed a big interview with Jamie Eason, and we drove out to LA to interview her live in person. This is before you could do interviews like this, right? We drove out to interview her in person. Her microphone was off half the time, so we're having to pick up our audio from another mic. Hey, guess what? We still released the podcast, and it still did okay. And people will forgive the quality a little bit if your intention, your message, and what you're trying to deliver helps. But Regan, I'm curious your take on that.
I couldn't agree more. Even going back to, I think we were kind of a hybrid between both questions, where you had mentioned, oh shoot, what did you mention there? Well, you had mentioned something about is for more, for people are more forgiving.
I would say people are more forgiving on the overall aesthetic, as long as you look good and as long as your message is really good.
Right.
And I think, you know, clean and simple beats, you know, cluttered and distracted. But, you know, like, were people angry that, you know, we sometimes had bad video quality, or maybe sometimes our light? Yeah, people, you know, are going to forgive that more likely than they'll forgive just a really bad message or just a really bad intention. So I think if your intention is right and what you're trying to do is on point, and your energy's there, we'll overlook a lot of the minor details, I think.
Yeah. And something that I was going to take it just one step farther is people are much more forgiving, I find, of visual aesthetics when the audio is nice and clean.
Good point.
You know, and that can be as simple as getting, I know some of these like wearable audio recorders you can get now do extremely good audio. They have a lot attached to them, and they're not that expensive to do. And when you can hear somebody crystal clear, everything else kind of just blends nicely. I mean, you can't have a horrible video, but it does forgive things like, you know, maybe you're not in the perfect studio setup or things like that. So that's something as well as audio. But to basically go back to Araceli's question, I know, Araceli, from our conversations last week that you're doing some stuff on Instagram now, but no, start now, because you never know. Like, let the audience decide whether your video is good or not, because I can guarantee you that the bigger your audience gets, the more issues they're going to have with your videos. It won't be about production quality. It'll just be about, you know, and I get that now. I get more complaints now than I did when I just started, because there's more people watching. And, you know, to give you a bit of perspective, my first ever fitness video was in 2004. It was just an idea I had. I was working, selling fitness equipment, and I mentioned to the owner of this company that our gyms weren't selling because everybody was buying the Bowflex. The Bowflex was huge at that time. And a big selling point with the marketing on the Bowflex was this DVD that had over 100 exercises that it would do. And I said, you know, I just came out of journalism school, so I had video abilities, not huge at that time, but I was able to shoot videos. And I said, you know, we could do a very simple video for $2,000-$3,000 and use it as leverage, you know, with these gyms and to sell them and to compete with Bowflex. And my boss had crapped all over the idea. He said, do your job, don't try and do that stuff. And anyway, I ended up shooting this video anyhow. I contacted a company in Chicago after I shot. I should have did it before, but going back to the production, I had one camera. So I shot the entire video on one camera. Then I went around shooting all of my B-roll with the same camera, hoping I could splice it together later. It was an absolute stress of a shoot to get through. When I was done, somebody mentioned to me, you should have asked the company, they may not like this. So then I had to call this company to ask them if I could use their gym. And this video was very primitive by the stuff that I even do today or anything like that. It was very, very basic. And this company paid me the money that I invested in the video, which was good because I had no money left at that point. It cost me about $3,000 to shoot it. And they actually gave me a 14-year licensing deal on this very basic video. So every 3 months from 2004 to 2018, every quarter I got a check from this company. And what was even better is that every time they made a copy of my DVD, I would get 50 cents US. And every time they would sell a home gym, not sell a DVD, but actually sell a home gym, and this is one of the biggest distributors on the planet of home gyms, I would get $1 US. So you can imagine how a giant distributor of home gyms, I've been in their warehouse. They actually flew me to Chicago to sign the documents. And I think they thought they were dealing with some big shot because they picked me up in a limousine and the whole works. And I was just a kid, but they, yeah, so a 14-year licensing deal out of a video that my boss thought was a bad idea. So you don't know what's going to catch on. Now, I don't think you should go and just be firing off videos, you know, without planning them. But certainly use what camera you have. If you have a smartphone that was made in the last 3 years, you've got a camera that's quite capable of doing a nice clean shot. So I would get started now, and because there's going to be a process of you getting better on camera. You know, even with me, who I have a degree in broadcast journalism, to be on camera, I never really used it because I got into behind the scenes. And when I started doing this vlog, if you go back to the beginnings of this channel, I'm very monotone. I'm not very good on camera. And over time, I started feeling more comfortable. I'm probably more annoying now than I was before, but you get better and you get a feel for who you are, who your audience is, what they like, and then you just slowly get better. But you're going to have to go through that. So I would most definitely be starting that now. That's all I got to say.
I would add to that, like, an imperfect video that you launch is going to be infinitely better than the perfect video that you never launch.
Yeah.
You know, when you pump something out, especially if you don't feel it's perfect, the great thing is you get feedback. You will not know what to what to improve, what to fix, and maybe what you're thinking about, maybe what you're worrying about is not even what people want you to change in your videos. Okay, maybe people just want you talking about different topics, but you never know that unless you released it and got feedback. And the story I would share is the time I tried to write my first book. I had this great idea for this new style of marketing within a specific industry, so I started writing a book about it. And in my head, I'm just thinking, I have to make this book so perfect because no one else is doing this thing. Right. And I worked on the book and I was like, you know what? I have other work to do. And I put the book up on a shelf, or the draft of it on a shelf. And, a few months later, took it down, worked on it more, put it back on my shelf. A few months later, took it down, worked on it more. Eventually, the book came out. And I remember seeing it on my desk at my office. And the problem was that my name wasn't on the cover of the book. And the reason my name wasn't on the cover of the book is because the book I was working on was still in draft form on my shelf. I had waited 2.5 years. Someone else had figured out the idea. They wrote the book. Okay. So that's the advice I would give, is to get something out there, start getting feedback, and then adjust it in real time. When we create something, this is not static. Everything we create is dynamic, and we can evolve with it as it's going.
Absolutely. Shelley, you said looking better is more important. Does this mean I'll need to start wearing some makeup to the gym if I'm recording? Absolutely not. That might turn more people off. If you go in, gym ready, not night out in the town ready.
When we say look good, we meant the lighting. The as long as you're well lit and I can see you really well, versus it'd be hard to mess with the lights in here if the background is way brighter than I am. Let's say I'm standing in front of a giant window, and like Regan has that big window behind him, but if Regan didn't have light on his face and he's just a silhouette, well, that wouldn't be so great, right? Yeah. But the fact that Regan has some light on him, even though there's a really strong backlight behind that guitar, it still looks really, really good. In fact, it looks awesome. So something like that. That's what we mean when we say as long as you look good, as long as the light on you looks good. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I've got a very big window right here and a very big light right here, just trying to combat that light back there. So it's it can take time. What do we got here?
I'm in fluorescent light hell in my studio.
I always tell people when they're unsure what bright lights will do is go in the bathroom, turn your lights off, and turn your phone light on and hold it up here, and then hold it down here up on your face, hold it each side, and that will show you the kind of shadows that can be cast with big windows and things like that. More subtle, but it could still show you what it does. I've always found if you shine the light down, you look like an angel. If the light's coming up at you, you look like the devil. And it's a very simple little trick. I'm not a lighting guy by trade, but that's kind of how I do it. Zanelle, this is your first time on live. If any of you guys are here for the first time, let us know, and let us know where you're from. I know I got a few of my regulars today. Shelley, you mentioned about posting, and maybe what you're posting isn't what they want to see. Should you then post what they want to see, or should you try and find the audience what you're posting? You want to go first, James? You want me to go first?
So it's hard to talk about this without specifics. At a core, there's no point creating something that doesn't resonate with you, right? So you have to love what you're doing, because if you're just doing something that you're not really enjoying, it's not going to last that long. Okay.
I can actually, for one sec, James, I'll give you some specifics from last week speaking with Eric Shelley. So if I'm not mistaken, she's lost about 60 or 65 pounds.
Amazing.
And she's a single mom of 2, if I'm not mistaken. And she wants to kind of document her journey of being a busy mom and also losing weight and staying with keeping the weight off. So that's kind of what her presentation is. So it's not from the workout side of things, but I just figured that might help you, give you some context to it.
So if you're going out, Araceli, and you're starting to share your story and kind of your journey and document this process along the way, you might not know the elements of your story that your audience is grafting onto yet. It could be, excuse me, it could be, you might be thinking is, oh, people want to see my daily workouts. And then after a while, you you figure out, oh, no. People want to see how I structure my day and manage everything that's on my plate. So even though you still do the workouts because it's important to you, you're able to create this other narrative, which is about how you structure your days and how you balance everything together. So that's just an example that's just coming to the top of mind, but you only find that out by doing it. An example is in my podcast. For years on my podcast, I would only interview entrepreneurs who had already made it, or entrepreneurs who had achieved a level of success that I wanted to really synthesize, distill down, and share with my audience. What I learned, though, is that my audience actually wanted to hear from entrepreneurs just like them, who were in the trenches at that very moment. And the only way I learned that was by putting out lots of shows and getting feedback from my audience. So we created a special edition on our Friday episodes where I interview entrepreneurs who are right in the thick of it, right in the trenches, talking about what they're going through in real time. And those became some of our most popular episodes. I would not have had that idea had I not started releasing the other content. Now, we still do both, but we test and we look to see what's resonating with our audience, what's working well over time. And stuff that works well, we give more attention to, provided it's something we want to do. Okay. And it's something that speaks to us. And then we get that feedback, see what else we can add in and test for a while. But here's the thing, and I kind of led into this at the start. What you might be doing right now might not be what you're doing in a year. Okay. So don't attach like everything to a certain idea, or to a certain cadence, or to a certain theme or style. Like, allow yourself and what you do to evolve, because at the core of it, your mission and impacting people's lives, that's the thing that never changes. Just the message or the manner of which you try to do it, that may evolve over time.
Ditto. No, that's my opinion is the same. The big thing is that you do need to, hey, get away from there. Dogs get around the cables, they make me nervous. Come on, go sit down. We two little puppies, I don't trust them at all. You do have to experiment a bit at first, but you also have to be very conscious of figuring out what your niche is going to be. And this is something actually I spoke about on James's podcast yesterday, which we will plug at the end of the show as well. But if you get too all over the place with your subject matter, the YouTube algorithm is not able to understand exactly what your channel is, and therefore it's not able to direct your content to the right audience. And if your content gets directed to the wrong audience, or even a casual audience, that's where you get your average view time goes down. And that's where your click-through rates go down, because people will bypass your thumbnails on the YouTube feed because they're not interested in it. And YouTube, the algorithm itself, which is a robot, cannot figure out exactly where to send your content to. Whereas again, with this channel here, it's pretty dominant and specific. If you look around in the videos in this channel, that this is about growing a YouTube fitness channel. If you go to my workout channel, that's where all my workouts are. I didn't mix these two channels because I knew that it would confuse the algorithm, and it made it a little bit harder having to build up a second channel. But this channel is starting to flow now, because now over the last, I'd say 6 or 8 weeks, people are starting to, the channel's starting to surface. People are finding it, and they know, and I'm getting very good feedback on the people that are finding it, because my channel is being presented to the right people. So that's basically what you have to know. Again, at first, you may not be able to be that focused on your subject matter, but it is something that you have to be conscious of all the time. You cannot flip-flop around on all these different things trying to figure out what's going to get you views and likes, because it's really not about views and likes. It's about click-through rates and average watch time. That's what's going to make you grow. All right, some more people arrived. Good morning, Victoria. And Tanu, yeah, first time in the live. I thought so. Hit your goals, made it a bit late. You must be at work now. Victoria's Sequence is here, and Val's here. All right, guys. So I'll give you guys another, this is James Patrick for you guys. Oh, question came in already. Val James is probably one of my very first subscribers on this channel, and she rarely, if ever, misses a live stream. So question, my channel has workouts, recipes, and fitness product reviews. Should I stop creating just workouts? You're thinking, Val, stop creating workouts and focus on recipes and product reviews? Is that what you're saying? Or I like where your channel's starting to go, Val, because I think you are finally starting to kind of find yourself. I think the product reviews are quite good. I know I've seen you do some grocery haul stuff and things like that. I think it's good. I don't think you should change right now. I know that you're kind of going 2-3 different things, but I think it works for you. In the sense that, I mean, you're incorporating your daughter into it. You're kind of giving the vibe that you're a mom, that you're busy, that, you know, and there's something about it that I think works. So I would stick to that for a little while until, you know, I can't tell without seeing your average view times and your click-through rates and stuff. But check that in your analytics. The analytics are going to tell you. You don't have to guess at this, and you'll be able to see what's working and what's not. And over time, you'll just continuously tweak it until you find that mix that works. But right now, if I were to guess, being on the outside looking in, I think you're starting to find yourself, and I think you should stick to what you're doing. Sharon was going to ask the same question. Well, Sharon, you're mainly just workouts, if I'm not mistaken. I haven't seen. I'm trying to think of what else you've done on your channel aside from workouts. Let me know. Shelly, would you say shorter or long net videos do better on YouTube? Both. I've always. This is something when I worked in an eight. Get away from that. Go lay down. Sorry, guys. When I worked in an agency environment, I used to get social media people that would talk about, you know, the attention span of a person's only 15 seconds. We need 15 seconds. My feeling towards that, and maybe this is more old school, and James, you probably have an opinion on this, but if your content is good, it can be 3 hours long. It doesn't matter. Building your content around a time, unless it's an actual, you know, you've got 30 seconds of TV time, or you're doing a 15-second bumper for, you know, that you're going to be promoting or something. Your content can be as long as you want it to be, as long as it's intriguing. Any thoughts on that, James?
You hit the nail on the head. It's I'm going to use the word consumer because, you know, I'm still, you know, consuming your product, be it your YouTube channel. I have very little time, and I have lots of options on how to spend that time. So whether your video is 3 minutes or an hour, I'm going to rate that against the quality of the headline. And is this satisfying a need that I have right now? Is this giving me value? So, you know, with our podcast, I do episodes, like I do long form episodes once a week that are about 45 minutes to an hour. We have one with Regan dropping here pretty soon. Now,
actually, while we're talking about it, James, where do they find your podcast at?
So the podcast name is Beyond the Image, and it's anywhere you get a podcast: Apple, Spotify, Amazon, where Google, wherever you get a podcast, you can get the Beyond the Image podcast. So when someone sees my interview drop with, so for example, today we dropped an interview with the publisher of Inside Fitness. Now, people are going to look at that and they're going to have to assess, you know, this is a 45-minute investment of my time. Do I want to hear on how to get published in Inside Fitness magazine? If the answer is yes, they invest 45 minutes. If the answer is no, they're out. Right? So right away, just because someone subscribes to my podcast doesn't mean they're going to listen to it. Same with the YouTube channel. Just because I'm subscribed to your YouTube channel doesn't mean I'm going to watch every video you pump out. Mm-hmm. I'm going to look at the headline and determine, does this give me value based on what I need right now? Okay. Mm-hmm. I also do short form podcasts. So twice a week we do short form podcasts, which are more in the like 10-minute, maybe 15-minute range. Once again, it's the same barometer of success, which is someone's going to look at that headline and say, is this worth 10 to 15 minutes of my time? And if the answer is yes, they click play. And if the answer is no, they just go to the next video. So it's really, what is the value you're delivering? Like I said, we do both short form and long form. There's no, when I look at the data, because data will not lie to me, there's really no benefit to either. It's really just based on who are we interviewing and what the topic is. At the end of the day, that's what matters more than anything else.
Yeah, no, I agree. Yeah, I can't even add to that. I totally agree. I think sometimes we overthink things. When I used to watch channels like my own, when I was trying to grow my fitness channel, a lot of them talked about people overthinking the process. And And I used to think to myself that it's very easy for you to say when you're already there. But now that I've, I'm kind of both my channels are flowing nicely and I'm happy where I'm going, I know exactly what they're talking about. And people do overthink this stuff. Stick to stuff that you're passionate about, because that's going to show in your content, and make it as long as it has to be. You need to know how to edit yourself. If and then beyond that, anything else, the analytics will tell you. You're always going to know. If you do a 45-minute video and everybody's abandoning it 3 minutes in, that's going to tell you that maybe this content's not working as is. And so that's the great thing about living in 2021, is that we don't have to guess what the audience wants anymore, because they're going to tell us. Okay. James, what's your YouTube channel? I know you've been kind of starting to do more with it. Are you able to add that in the comments there in case the guys want to follow you as well?
Yeah, let me try to do that.
You're like me, you don't know your own YouTube channel address.
Well, it's like, of course my name wasn't available.
Yeah.
So it's some amalgamation of that.
While you're doing that, I'll get Sharon's here. Okay, yeah, Sharon, I did see the one you did, the popcorn review and stuff. I think Sharon, with you, is similar to Val. You know your audience, and really just check the analytics and see if it's kind of enforcing your beliefs that your audience wants to see it with that stuff. Because you produce so many workouts. I'm always seeing the workouts. I did forget about the popcorn segment there. But as I said, if it blends nicely, I think your channel most definitely doesn't have any kind of an identity crisis, because now now that we've even spoken off of here, you've really, it has an aesthetic appeal. It looks like a brand, and you do so many workouts that it's very obvious that it's a workout channel. So I think you're fine. I think when I start speaking about people being all over the map, it's when they're jumping from a workout and then their next workout video is not for 6 months. In between that, it's, here's a day in my life. Here is, here's what I did on my vacation. Here's what I had for supper. And again, it becomes that thing where it's I. And that content, unless you are a celebrity of some sort, I don't feel works. And then you kind of broaden it so much that unless you are an established person in terms of celebrity status, it's hard to follow that, because nobody knows you and nobody cares. Same as me, same as James or anybody. So, Shelly, should you post a disclaimer if you aren't a CPT nutritionist? You should post a disclaimer regardless. And I would be very upfront that you're not a certified personal trainer. These are just, these are methods that you use to lose weight and get in shape on a budget with children, busy mom. But definitely put some form of a disclaimer in there, because that can come back and bite you in the butt. And in the video or the description, the disclaimer you can put in the description. And what I do for my videos, if you go over to Trainer Hub, is there's a 7-second just a JPEG graphic that comes up at the start of each video that basically has the disclaimer in there as well. So I've got it in 2 places. Yeah, it's like Sharon said. Sharon's got a background in insurance as well, and she wants to you want to make sure you protect yourself. And yeah, if any of you guys want to follow James's YouTube channel, he's got a lot of stuff with behind the scenes photo shoots. And it looks like now he's getting into a lot more stuff with lighting techniques for photography and things like that, which all of you should be following. And I'm probably not the guy to give advice on that. So definitely check out James's channel. Are you doing pretty regular now, James? Or you're trying to start getting more regular?
Yeah, we're back on our schedule. We took a little siesta over the holidays, but we're back to once a week.
Right on. And what I noticed a couple of months ago, you started, is an online magazine you're doing now? Icon?
Good eye. Yeah, we're in the process of, so it's going to be both an online news network as well as a printed magazine, slated for maybe a Q2 launch on the online network, Q3 launch on the printed publication. The idea, it's called Icon Refined. and then the print magazine is called Icon Fit. The idea is it's the modern entrepreneur, because I feel like the word entrepreneur does disservice now, because when we think about entrepreneur, we think about the endless hustle. But I know so many entrepreneurs who almost quite literally kill themselves in order to try to build a business, and they never build a great life, right?
Yeah.
It's that separation of, building success without fulfillment. Okay. You build success without fulfillment, it's a pretty bad failure. So the idea of an icon is someone who honors their body, their mind, their relationships, and their business. This is why we call it Icon Refined. So we are kicking off the news network, the online news network, like I said, probably in the next 3 to 4 months, and then the magazine will follow in the fall.
That's excellent. Yeah, I kind of agree with you on the definition of entrepreneur, and I'm starting to kind of figure that out as I get older. That it's not as much about the hustle anymore. It's about that freedom of time, and freedom to kind of do what you want. And I'm very aware of that now. And that's one of the reasons that I keep motivated with YouTube, because I have to balance trying to do content for this channel with the workout channel, with having a full-time job. And it's a lot, but I look at it as this YouTube is almost like my retirement. Or, I mean, if it ever gets to a point where I decide to make it a full-time thing, it's something that I want to build up to a point where, it'll allow me to travel, to work from anywhere, to have kind of that gypsy entrepreneur lifestyle, which to me is more intriguing than, the millionaire hustler guy. But that's just me.
When you think about like why people choose to do any of this, it's the word freedom. And, everyone has a different freedom that they're searching for, whether it's a financial freedom, a creative freedom. Like the reason I run my own photo business versus work in-house at a magazine, creative freedom. Maybe it's emotional freedom. Okay, it's for freedom. But if this is why we're getting into it, why are we just locking ourselves in creating a job?
Yeah, absolutely. Zanel's question: if one video does well, how can we replicate that through all the other videos we upload in the future? E.g., I did a water bottle workout video, did well over 3,000 views. Future video didn't pick up. Zanel, that's going to happen. I mean, realistically, your channel is going to thrive off of, maybe at first it'll be one video that goes semi-viral. And then over time, there'll be one or two more. They're not all going to snap like that, at least not for a long time. My workout channel right now, I would presume that probably 90% of my traffic comes from 5 videos, maybe. And what I do now, like my process is to, as one video is going down, I'm trying to build up that next one to take its place. So I can always have 4 or 5 videos that are pushing traffic, and you're never going to have them all take off. You could do 2 videos that are identical. One of them could take off, one of them couldn't. For example, if you Google trap bar deadlift, I've told this story before. My video that I did with Joe Arco, who's actually going to be on here next week, I believe. Joe, if you're watching, you can comment and let us know if you're coming on next week. But we shot probably 10 or 15 tutorials that day. Trap bar deadlifts, squats, dynamic warm-ups, all kinds of, all look the same, all were the same length. Trap bar deadlifts exploded. So now if you Google trap bar deadlift, page 1, top of page is my video. And that was the first video and it still does to this day. It drives so much traffic to my page. Whereas I've got other videos from that same shoot that have 200 views and they've been up there for 4 or 5 years. So it's one of those things that you just have to, try and optimize every video. And then it's just, if one of them catches on, and it really is just a matter of a handful of people watch it from start to finish, and suddenly it gets a little bump, and then it happens again, it gets a bump, and it's a little bit like roulette. I hate to say it, but just try and optimize every one and be thankful if one takes off. Where are we at? Guys are quiet today. A few questions out there, but they're all getting the January blues.
It's February.
That's right. Well, my boys have calmed down at least. Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing the the magazine. I did see when you posted it a few months ago, and
it's one of those, like everything we do, we say it starts with the labor of love and then it just turns into a labor. It is a massive undertaking, but we're really excited about it. We got a good team put together for it. And, we're always looking for contributors. So, and I could put this out to both you as to your entire audience, and we have a whole video where I'm interviewing my editor-in-chief on my YouTube channel. And she's basically saying, if you want to know how to get published in this new media, or our new magazine, she just tells you what she's looking for. But essentially, we're looking for articles on health, on mental wellness, on, we call it our culture section, which is everything from relationships to what's happening in the world right now, to business articles. So we're looking for everything in that. So all the details are in that video on my channel.
So for you guys that are watching right now, this is a perfect example of an opportunity that you shouldn't pass up. Reach out to James, whether it's, he's at jpatrickphoto on Instagram, DM and inquire about this, because these kind of opportunities don't come up. And these are the kind of opportunities that can get you exposure that you won't normally get. And there is a residual value there that will go back to your YouTube channel if that's your main brand that you're focusing on. Because it's hard right now too. There's not a lot of platforms, whether it be digital or physical magazines, that really cater to that health and wellness vibe like this, that you can get exposure on. There's a lot of magazines with bodybuilding that really promote supplements and things like that. Those are hard eggs to crack as far as getting involved there. But when you see something like this, that's health, wellness, business, entrepreneur, healthy living, like that's a nice blend of things that kind of caters to this audience for this channel. So reach out to James, guys. If you writer, if you have a good story that you want to talk about, you never know. It may not work out, but who knows?
And hit your goals. So we have this information posted in a couple different places. One is on my YouTube channel, which is JP Photo AZ. So that's what I got from my YouTube channel. I do have it on my IGTV at jpatrickphoto. We also have an episode on my podcast, Beyond the Image, if you prefer just to listen to it. It's about a 45-minute interview where I'm interviewing Cassie, who's our editor-in-chief, and my podcast is everywhere where you can get a podcast.
Super.
And the episode's called How to Get Published in Icon Refined. So we made it pretty on the head.
Val, what do you think about YouTube Shorts? I did how to do a donkey kick correctly and got over 6,100 views. I read that the shorts do not count as watch time. Wow, 6,100 views. That's good. How long ago did you do that, Val? I'm just starting to learn about shorts, not shorts on the actual channel, but I've seen a thing where YouTube is currently trying to compete with TikTok, which is where this whole short thing has come up. And the premise is that they are promoting short videos right now, but my understanding is that it's videos that you do for the community tab. So it's the ones, and I think to have a community tab, you have to have that 1,000 subscribers or whatever that minimum is. So I don't know how that's good results if you did that just on your main channel, but there is something to that. So it might not be a bad idea for you guys to experiment with a couple of 60-second tutorials on stuff and just see what happens, because that is something that I read just recently, that YouTube is currently trying to promote short videos with that 60 seconds in length. And even if it doesn't match the flow of your channel, supposedly they do get promoted more. So if you want some homework for this week, try doing a short, do a 60-second how-to on something, and just kind of check the analytics and see how it goes. Worst case, if it just falls flat, you can delete it a week or two from now. Yeah, there's James's Instagram, guys, on the page if you want to attach to him on there. He's got lots of good content, lots of good shots from his photo shoots. Val just followed you. Val's quick. Kim, that job is getting in the way of my live streams. I think you got to make a decision here. Hope your foot's feeling better. Kim broke her toe a few weeks ago, but still managed to get her online workouts done. So that's good.
It's commitment.
Yeah, she's got a good channel. Kim's based out. Hit Your Goals is based out in BC. We got a good mix.
I love how you have people tuning in from so many countries. That's really awesome.
Yeah, I know we've had South Africa. A lot of weeks there's Australia. People across the U.S. like Connecticut, Florida, Jersey. Yeah, there's been a good mix of people. It surprises me as well. Not Hit Your Goals, but Case Pilates. She's based in Austria, and we had a couple from Austria that are out there, I believe, or Germany. So, yeah, it's interesting. It's the power of YouTube. Val, if you get 6,100 views on a short in a few weeks, that's off the charts. So that's something you might want to keep doing. Well, they're being quiet. James, you and I'll chit chat. Fire up those questions, guys. What do you see, James? Because I know you deal with a lot of people who are trying to mesh physical brands with digital brands. What would be the mistakes you see in terms of people trying to promote their brands, whether it be Instagram, Facebook, YouTube? Do you ever have to correct and critique people with stuff like that?
The biggest thing that we're seeing, so when we think about, okay, what are ways that you can try to stand out in the digital marketplace? Let's be honest, if the fitness industry wasn't crowded before, it certainly is now.
Yeah.
And we saw this throughout 2020 where anyone that had an in-person business was rushing to try to get it online. But what they were trying to do is they were trying to replicate their in-person experience in an online setting. And that's where a lot of disconnect happened because they were now running out of time. Okay. And so that was a big issue. The other thing is, if you're just promoting yourself as just, I'm a trainer or I'm a nutritionist, okay, great. But there's 25,000 other ones in my feed at the same time. Why am I paying attention to you? So it's honing in on who you are, what you do that's different, and who you do it for. Okay. And to niche down as much as possible. I know niching down gets people to be a little nervous because, like, well, if I niche down too much, I'm going to turn away other people.
Yeah.
Maybe, but we're not hiring general practitioners. We're hiring specialists. I want to know that you are the exact person that I need because I'm going to onboard a lot faster. When I look at my photography career, I struggled as a photographer when I tried to do everything. I was shooting fashion and glamour and architecture and commercial portraits. I took off when I says, you know what? It's just fitness. This is what it is. It's fitness. Mm-hmm. I should say fitness/sports. That's what it is. That's when my career took off. Now, do I still get hired for architecture? Sure do. I still get hired for fashion, commercial portraits, all the things I used to get hired for. I still get hired for, but I don't really talk about it. I don't really promote it. But here's the thing. If I'm up for a fashion campaign, okay, and I put my work in on a fashion campaign and I go up against someone who has experience in fashion, guess what? I'm losing. 100 times I'm going to lose, okay, unless I have a relationship, because relationships will trump everything. But if I go in and I'm competing to shoot a fitness magazine cover, good luck competing against me because it's what I've honed in on. Okay, I've done 500 of them. I know this, right? So how this replicates to you. So let's look at how we make a facsimile of this. What is it that you do that's different from anyone else? What is it about your process? What is it about your energy? What is it about the clientele you work with? And you have to peel back layer after layer. I was working with one of my clients because I do coaching for fitness entrepreneurs. I was working with one of my clients and, she said kind of the same thing. It says, what makes a difference? Says, well, I work hard. I'm dedicated to my clients. I'm like, so you're telling me that no other trainer says they work hard and they're dedicated to their clients? That's not true. Okay. So let's peel back layers. And what we realized is we were starting to look into her work. I was like, wait, what's interesting is everything you do is under 30 minutes. Why is everything you do under 30 minutes? All your workouts, all your meals, like you can do it all in under 30 minutes. Like, well, because I have 4 kids and I have this job and I'm a wife. I have no time. It's not that like when people say I don't have time to work out, I literally do not have time. I have 30 minutes. I'm like, there's your brand. Your brand is you are a critically busy mom giving fitness advice to critically busy mom. This is your opportunity. Okay. So when we think about it from that context, it's about honing in on where is your unique platform in the digital space, because I want to know that you're the person for this exact thing. And even if it's not for something else, it's something I can graft onto. And once I graft onto something, then it's your job to build trust and rapport. The other thing I would say that's a mistake that people make in the online space is they assume that once I get online, once I build a following, I can just peddle out services and people are just going to buy it. Not anymore. There are 3 phases really that a client goes through before they want to hire you. Number 1 is awareness. They got to know you exist. So this is really what this channel is about, is how do you grow your awareness? How do you get more people to subscribe? How do you get more people to follow you? How do you get more people to watch your videos? But just because someone subscribes to you doesn't actually mean they like you, and doesn't mean they trust you enough to give you their money. Okay. So the second phase comes in, and that's a nurture phase. And we are in a very long nurture phase, meaning what clients needed in regards to the amount of time or the amount of emotion or energy we used to put into them to nurture them, to build trust and rapport, that has gotten so much bigger than it's ever been before, because there are way too many options. We're way too discernible, and we're way too savvy, and we don't have a lot of time. So we're constantly distracted. So you need to nurture us a lot, which is once again why Regan's doing this channel, to help you grow your YouTube platform. What is a great way to nurture your audience? By giving immense value to them. That's what each and every single one of you are doing through YouTube channels, is giving great value. And the more value you give, you create that value deficit. And then you go into the third phase, which is conversion, which is when you give them that opportunity to take that next step with you, to onboard to your program, to download your guide, to get into your 30-day challenge, whatever it is. Okay. But it's about carving out your unique platform, nurturing that audience by just over delivering. Okay. So that when they think about solutions for their needs, they think about you. Every person who tunes into your channel, this is where they are today. They have certain passions, they have certain likes, certain interests, but they also have challenges and pain points. They all have an aspirational identity, somewhere that they want to go, and they can see that person very clearly in their mind. Okay. What that person's like, and maybe it's a certain weight loss, maybe it is a certain level of energy, maybe it's the fact that they get to do something physical that they've never done before, that they haven't done in years, but in their mind they know who this person is, this aspirational identity. Your job, doesn't matter what your platform, your job is to show that you bridge this gap, that you take them from where they are today to where they want to be tomorrow. And tomorrow could be in 3 months and 6 months, whatever it is. But that's what you're doing, is you're bridging this gap. When you start to talk about it in that sense, that you know where they are right now, and maybe it's because you were there at one point too, you know where they want to go, because maybe that's where you are right now, and you can guide them from A to B. That's what's going to onboard a lot of people. That's what's going to get people to start to pay attention, because people are going to say, and this is so awesome, and I bet some of you have even had this, is people are going to say, you know what, Val or Kay or Sharon, it's like you were talking to me directly. That's where you want to get with your audience.
Yeah. And I think too, like I've kind of barked about this in the past. There's a difference in the sell model for fitness now, much more so than there's ever been before. I personally believe, and I'll argue this with anybody, that fitness is an emotional purchase. So when you're getting down to, getting somebody to do a monthly subscription to something or to pay for your services, it goes beyond your workouts being great. There's a connection there, because something that I've said on this channel is I see a lot of people who will, go onto Instagram and let's say they started an app and they'll post a picture of themselves, hey, go buy my app. But it's like, pardon my French, it's my channel, I can swear. You haven't given them shit. You're just telling them, go buy this, without proving anything. The world doesn't know you. Your community of people may know you, but a lot of these people are followed by other people from the same community, which are actually competitors, not people that are looking for your services. So what I've always said to people is give away the good stuff. Like for me, the most work goes into the videos that I produce for this channel. The most work that goes into my workout channel are the workouts that I produce for that channel. The next level of that is going to be building an actual one-on-one relationship with a client. At that point, they're looking to work with you directly. It's the same thing. Like I know I've worked with some people that are in this in the comments right now, and once you have a one-on-one relationship, I'm dealing with them separately. It's not as glamorous as dealing with me on the channel. On the channel, it's all nice, high-resolution videos. If you deal with me with a one-on-one Zoom call, it's me in my office, and so it's not going to be as highly produced. But you're dealing with me one-on-one, and it's the same thing. If you're a trainer, put out all your best content. Don't hold that back and tell people to buy it. Put that out as the bait to get them into your community. Then you start promoting things like, hey, do you want to know how to use this content? Here's a structured workout plan that I created using videos from my channel. It costs $20 and it shows you, what days to do. Then you start giving them the structure for your channel. Here's how to do the workouts. Then you start doing things like, anything like that, a one-on-one, whether it's a Zoom call or some sort of a one-on-one call where you're dealing with them and dealing with their product, their problems specifically. And none of that stuff needs to have any sizzle to it. Because at that point, it's about the relationship between you and that person one-on-one. So, and I just think of it because I did have a client a few months ago who had produced some very expensive, they invested in workout videos that they did a few years back. They'd never released them because they owed somebody money and they wanted to sell them. But it's like, where do you sell full-length workout videos in 2021? There's no DVDs anymore. Or if there is, it's a very scarce market. If there was DVDs, I would be all over it. So you need to put that stuff out there to gain that audience. And then that audience becomes your currency. And then you find ways to add more value to that audience through an established one-on-one relationship. So it's kind of a reverse thing now where you can't there's just too much content out there. You can't just say, here's my program. It's only, I don't care if it's $30. It's a lot of money to people during a pandemic. Like you can't just throw it out and say, buy this. You have to prove to them how good you are. Then once they're on board, then it's a matter of, now we're going to become, directly connected, and we're going to work together on going to the next level.
I want to touch on that fear of people giving away their best stuff for free, because it's something we see a lot, which is, well, if I give away my best stuff for free, why would people want to invest in me? They could just get it all for free. Hey, guess what? Some are, and that's okay. You're not worried about them. And this whole context of, well, if I give it away for free, why would people hire me? Do you really believe, and I've been in this industry for 20 years, do you really believe people are hiring you because they don't know how to do a push-up or they don't know how to eat more vegetables? That's not why they're hiring you. They're hiring you because, hey, they know this. But even though they know this, they're not able to reach that aspirational identity. And the reason they're hiring you is because they believe that you are the person who's going to help them bridge that gap, to get through the obstacle that was preventing them from reaching that aspirational identity before. It's not a lack of knowledge. Okay, so as much as we think our programs are so amazing, and it's not that they aren't, they are. But it's not new, okay? We're investing not in your program. We're investing in you. Exactly. We believe in you. It's you that we are swiping the credit card with, okay? And when you start to realize that, and when you start to hone in on you're the person, because at the end of the day, all we care about is results. Yep. We care that you're going to give us the results. We trust you to give us the results. And when you can show unequivocally that you have the experience, that you have the ability, that you have the background, that you have the energy, that you have the emotion to give us those results, that's what onboards us. That's why you give away your best stuff for free. It's because you show this is what it's going to be like working with me right here. And that is what's going to build that trust and rapport.
Exactly. Got a few questions come in here. Let's fire through them. Hit your goal. Should I promote my channel in other places other than just YouTube? So my answer, and I've been pretty vocal about this, it's a catch-22. If you want more views, promote on other platforms. If you want to lower your average watch time, promote on other platforms. And the problem is that average watch time is what actually surfaces you on YouTube. So it's kind of, I don't know what that quote is, cut off your nose to spite your face or whatever it is. If you promote on other platforms, you're going to get kind of the nosy people that are going to basically click through, watch it for 10 seconds on the subway, then shut it down and go about their day. because these are workouts. No one's gonna click on your workout and suddenly do it. Like, people are searching for workouts ahead of time, so it's very tricky. And I've done several tests on this, and every time I do mass promotion on other platforms, my average watch time goes down. So it's one of those things where you have to be cautious about it. But if you're just starting out and you're looking to get initial subscribers, maybe it could help. For me, I'm always just, YouTube has 2 billion people on it. Find those people, because they are on this platform. Somebody out there is looking for your content. And unless you can surface, they're not going to find your content. So these quick fixes of going to different social media platforms to say, hey, everybody, go check out my new video. And like I said, they click through on their phone, and you can tell, you can go into the analytics and you can see 70% of my views are people on smartphones. That doesn't mean that you should go and I should start, making all my videos smartphone friendly. No, what that means is that you're promoting to people in the middle of the day on other platforms, and they're seeing it on their phone, they're clicking through, watching for 10 minutes, and then turning it off. The people that you want to be catering to are the ones that are on laptops and smart TVs, because those are the ones that are actually doing your workouts start to finish. I think very few people are doing your workouts on their smartphone, if we're talking about workouts here. So yeah, I've done some videos on this, Kim, and that's just my opinion. James may have something different to think about it or say about it, which is totally fine. But that's kind of where I stand with that, and I'm very skeptical about cross promotion.
Yeah, I mean, it all depends on the context. Like, it's so fascinating. Like, if your goal is to get people to watch your full workouts, what Regan's saying makes absolute sense. Most of my videos are quick videos, like maybe 5-10 minute videos where I can catch people as they're sitting on a subway. I can catch people as they're waiting in traffic. So for me, it makes sense. So it's really just about really your intention with the content.
Yeah, this content I'll promote on other platforms. This is a little bit different to me, but the workout specifically, I find it does a disservice in the long run. Sharon, what kind of camera do you favor, James?
I don't. I use. I've had Canon my entire career only because my first camera was a Canon. That's it. I started buying Sony cameras because I love them and they're so easy to use and I love the quality. I buy old cameras just for fun, just to play around with. Like, I just bought I got sitting over there, an old Mamiya medium format camera just to play with, just because I like how it makes portraits. Yep. At the end of the day, it doesn't really matter. I've used Nikon before. Guess what? It took photos that looked really good too.
Do you, and I don't know if you would have looked at it from this perspective, but I do get people that ask me about a good, affordable camera that people could use for both photos and shooting like vlogs type video. I'm kind of like you. Like, I'm very big on the Sony mirrorless cameras because they're very forgiving to people that aren't quite as good with lights or understand all that stuff. But you would know far more about this than I do.
Yeah. So I use I have a little Sony A6500, which is what I'm plugged into right now. Mm-hmm. It works great. And I bought it, honestly, just as a walk around camera because I was traveling in Europe a couple years ago. And I didn't want to bring my whole Canon setup. So I wanted just a small walk around camera. So I bought it with a nice 50mm lens, just so I can, just do some shots there. And then I found, wow, it looks really great for live streams, better than a webcam. I just had to buy this little dongle thing. Let me see if I can lift it up right here. So I run an HDMI cable from the camera into this, and this is a USB capture HDMI from Magwell. Mm-hmm. And then this just plugs into my computer with a USB cord. Yep. And it swaps out my webcam for just, a nice professional camera with a 50mm lens where I can do a 1.8, and I get that nice bokeh with everything out of focus behind me. Works great. And once again, still, it's a fun walk around camera, and it does both the video as well as the stills. Looks like someone's moving from New Jersey to Scottsdale. Awesome! I'm in Scottsdale right now. My studio's in Scottsdale.
Get a photo shoot done, Val.
I'll do it right there. Right there.
Victoria Sequence. Does a website help at this early stage? I think
for what?
Well, she does workout videos. She does a lot of live workouts. Uh-huh. I think, Victoria, if you've already got plans for products and stuff, perhaps. But I mean, really, like because I've thought about this even for this channel, if it would be time to develop a website for it, but I really don't need it. Like I've got buymeacoffee.com that I use for booking consultations. I use that for selling, interval timers and things like that for people to use on their workouts. So, I mean, that helps me with my secondary stuff. The channel is my main focus. And it's like, do I want to ask people to check into a third place for more content? I don't know if there's any content I could offer that would be any more elaborate. Even if I want to do, and I plan to do more long form content on video editing and stuff. Again, I'm going to host that on Buy Me a Coffee, where people can go on there and they can watch a 2-hour video on how to edit a video from start to finish. So for me, for what I do, I don't see a point. And I'm at that point where I do have documents, ebooks, little timers and trinkets and stuff to help make, your workouts better. And I'm still not thinking that it's necessary for a website right now. But again, that's just me. I think from a brand perspective, it looks good, but I don't know if it's required. If you're dealing with a budget right now, and I would be putting more money into your production and just making all that polished and then put the website down the road a bit. James, any thoughts?
So I say this as I own a web design company. Don't set up a website if you don't need a website. And the reason is why are you directing someone to another place unless you have a reason to direct them there? Now, if you have a place where, let's just say you want to onboard clients and take them in for intake calls, a sales page helps. Okay, a one-page website which edifies you, your services, and really what the client needs right now, hey, great. But if you're not doing that right now and your focus is just on growing your YouTube platform, why are you asking people to go to click another link to leave YouTube? Okay. Yeah. Keep them, and this, it's a funny thing about social media, and screw all social media for this, where and I don't think YouTube does this, but, Facebook certainly does, where they suppress your posts if you put your URL in there. Right, where it's just like, hey, check me out on this website right here. They're going to suppress that post. I found out Instagram will do this if you say link in bio. If you type link in bio in your post, if you say link in bio in any of your lives, or if you say in any of your stories, guess what? The algorithm's going to suppress it, because Facebook and Instagram, they don't want to send people away, not realizing that people are just going to come back home anyway. It's a long way of saying only start setting up a website if you have an intention behind the website. And setting up a website just to have an about page is not a good intention. Okay. It's a good way to spend money that you don't necessarily need to right now. We can kind of get a sense of who you are through your YouTube, through your Instagram, through your Facebook, through all these other platforms, which is where we are anyway. The good place to set up a website is when you have something you want people to take action on. That action is really going to be one of two things. Action A is to opt in to your list. So they opt into your email list, they opt into your text list in exchange for a free lead magnet. So like, download my free cookbook, or hey, I created a 7-day workout challenge. To get it, just go to this link right here, and you can sign up to get it into your name and email address. So you're list building with it. So that's one thing, which, by the way, do that. Okay, build a list. And then number 2 is to sell something. Okay, where you want to get people into your sales funnel. Outside of that, people aren't going to go to your website to read about your bio. It's probably not going to happen.
Agreed. All right, guys. So we're going to start winding her down. If you guys have any other questions for James, fire away. Click getting close to that 90-minute mark. May have exhausted everybody.
Good.
Not me. I can go all day.
That's kind of how I am. Like, I mean, I look at, like, yesterday we did our podcast yesterday. Outside of that podcast, I must have been on 6 hours of coaching calls. And for me, by the end of the day, like, I was wiped out, but it felt really cool. Yeah, no, I've said to these guys as well, like, I have to balance these, and I'm behind even on getting actual produced videos done, but balancing these right now, digital marketing is busier than ever because people can't, like, there's lockdowns here in Ontario and people can't get to anybody. So my business is thriving because of it. So balancing that with actual business and then getting the workouts done, it gets hard. But this is one of the most enjoyable parts of my week. I love working with these guys and getting the opportunity to work with different creators. And it's such an engaged audience. It's nice. And this is one of the reasons why
I could almost delete my Instagram and Facebook tomorrow and be totally fine just doing my thing on YouTube, because nobody's here for me. They're here for the content. And that's what I think that's what I enjoy most about YouTube. There's no sympathy votes here. There's no, follow me, follow you and stuff. These guys support each other because they want to. I support them because I want to, and vice versa. So it's kind of it's refreshing, but it definitely requires a lot more work, much like your podcasts and all that kind of stuff.
Well, and I would add to that, like, I really advocate, as all of us were in the brand building business, right? Like, we're all trying to build our brands. And if you are myopically focused, let's just say on Instagram, which so many of us are, the problem that you're going to run into is, let's just say you build a great following. Like, we have over 40,000 on ours. If I wanted to call Instagram up and say, hey, Instagram, guess what? I got over 40,000 followers. Thank you so much for helping me promote my brand. Can I get like an Excel sheet or a CSV file of all my followers? I just need their names and their email addresses because I just want to send them an email. Do you think I'm going to get a response to that? No.
Yeah.
No. We do not own our social media following. We do not own our Facebook following. We do not own our Instagram following. And there's always going to be an algorithm that is separating us from our audience, right? So what we really advocate is we have really two minimum platforms where we can communicate with our audience. So yes, we lean hard into Instagram, but we don't own our Instagram following. So that's why we have our podcast. There's no algorithm separating whether or not people are served our podcast. That's why we have our email list. That's why we have our text list. So if Instagram went down tomorrow, and we saw that a couple of times over 2020, where Instagram crashed for maybe just a few hours, maybe a day, and people freaked out. How am I going to reach my audience? Well, we're not worried. We got our YouTube channel. We got our podcast. We got our email list. We got our text list. We have other channels where if this went away, I think about all the people who invested everything into building a MySpace page.
Yeah.
Right. So it's about, hey, have those multiple touch points. Okay. But don't just lean into the one, especially if that one is one where you don't own your audience.
And funny now, going back to Victoria's question, Victoria, that if there were a reason to do a website in the future, that would be the reason. And I've actually seen studies on that where they talk about people speaking to the fact that you don't own your following on social media platforms, but if you can funnel them to a web presence that's your own, that definitely it's a smart thing to do. But I think I would wait till that it's a substantial following before doing that. But that would definitely be one reason to develop a website at some point in time. All right, guys. So James, if people want to find you and follow you, we may as well go through it there one more time. I know we dropped a couple of them, but where's the best place to follow you?
Instagram's probably the best, at jpatrickphoto. I respond to all my messages on there. You know what? For anyone interested, I just created a new guide, and it's the 4 steps on how to stand out online. We just created it with everything that's happened over 2020. We wanted to help all of our fitness entrepreneurs and fitness influencers really develop a way that they could stand out online. So what I can do is, for anyone that's interested to get this free guide, send me a text message. So I'll drop my number. And for those of you who are in other countries who cannot text me, DM me on Instagram so I can get it to you. But the number you can text if you're in the US or Canada, it's 480-605-3254. So that's 480-605-3254. If you're in North America, you can text that number. Like I said, if not, send me a DM on Instagram and just say, James, can I get that free guide? And I'll just text you the link to it.
Awesome. There you go, guys. Take advantage of that. All right, gang. So we will call it a day at there. I want to thank you, James, for taking the time to do this.
Thanks for having me, man.
Yeah, and definitely make sure, guys, you subscribe to James's podcast. There's a very charismatic guy coming up in the next week or two who's got a lot to say. And yeah, that's Beyond the Image, right, James?
Yep.
Brain's going to move. So Beyond the Image with James Patrick. If you just Google it, it will come up in different places where you can see it and download it. There's some really good episodes. James speaks with people from many different facets of the industries, to magazine editors, to photographers, models, personal trainers, brand builders. it's the kind of content that, having worked with a lot of you guys for some time now, that you will enjoy and that you will gain something from. So highly recommend you check it out. Look it up, Beyond the Image. And yeah, that's about it. Unless you guys, oh, they're all. Araceli came in with one last one. Favorite vlogging camera? One last question.
I got the Sony A6500.
Yeah, and I've actually recommended the Sony A6500 to people as well. It's a good quality, very forgiving if you're not as savvy with cameras and stuff. It's a good one to use. So yeah, you're getting some new followers there, guys. James.
Awesome.
All right, guys. Well, thank you guys all for tuning in as usual. It's been a pleasure, and I will be touching base with you all soon. I have probably 2 new videos coming up this week. Hopefully tomorrow, the next day, we'll be dropping the top Google Trends searches of January. Some interesting ones in there. I was doing the work on it last night in the research. So that's coming up. Phase 2 for the work, how to do a workout with your smartphone. Easy for me to say. That's going to be coming up. I did that shoot already, so I just have to edit that one. And if any of you guys are looking for interval timers, timer clocks, any of that kind of stuff, you can check out buymeacoffee.com/trainerhub. There's all kinds of info on there, membership stuff. So feel free to check that out if you want. And that is it, guys. Thank you so much. Enjoyed being here. James, enjoyed having you on. It's nice to have a partner in crime.
Oh, so excited to be on, man. Truly appreciate it. And thanks for everyone for tuning in. Really awesome to chat with you all.
All right, guys. Have a great rest of the week, and I will talk to you all soon. Take care.